Hi, I am Brooke Shields, and you are watching the story behind the pictures.
Bum, 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 bum. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Bum, 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 bum. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Bum, 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 bum. Please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Do you want to be somebody famous?
I am. I am Ron Galella, paparazzo superstar.
Who is Ron to you?
Let's just say it started off kind of fraught because it was very invasive. It was never ending, and it was kind of like, man, like, how can we work this that if I give you this, will you give me that? Like, will you give me some freedom and peace, or will you keep going? And he was sort of one of the first more avaricious of the paparazzis. You get that in Italy, but not as much in New York. But he was all such a staple. And my mom was kind of in that world of like, okay, look, befriend him. And like, we would give him the photo and we wouldn't do this, so that it would probably preferred me to do that because that's always the good shots. But then it became like this, not acrimonious at all, and just, okay, you're doing your job, I got to do this. And my mom was saying, look, publicity is publicity, just don't make it bad publicity. And you're a young girl, and this, you don't have scandal around you, so don't make it something it's not. I mean, when I dated some people, that became a little bit of a story, but for the most part, he was kind and respectful to me, but just was very, very focused on doing his job. So it grew, because that was when I was much younger, but it grew. And then we were like, oh, okay, there he is. Okay, we'll do this. Oh, okay, there he is. Let's go to him first, and then, if there was something that was going to be kind of interesting, he would be the one we would call, or his nephew we would call, and we'd say, just FYI, not an exclusive, but like, it's not a full-on appearance, but this is going to happen. And never to exploit anybody that I was with or anything. I never did that ever. Like, oh, I'm going out with so-and-so, come and catch us at the restaurant. That never happened. So it just became more of a working relationship. So that's who he was in my life, sort of the documentarian of all things celebrity, and still had a heart, even though he, had to wear a helmet sometimes. This was a charity walk in LA, I believe, and that's my dog, Darla. She was the best dog. And I was doing Suddenly Susan, and we were doing this hike. And we all brought our dog. We brought our dogs because it was a nice hike for the dog. Well, she stopped mid-hike, and Chris had to carry her all the way down the rest of the hike. And this was, I think, right before we started the hike. It was funny. He never asked me to take my glasses off, which I always appreciated. It was my first real dog that I was able to like really live with and take care of. And like, she'd come to the set with me, and she was very sweet and very calm, and she was so great with the kids. I was nominated for a Golden Globe, and this outfit was made for me. Both obviously said something to the other one to make the other one laugh. It's just such a great, pure, honest, happy moment. I was a huge fan, and then to get to meet him on a red carpet when I was nominated, kind of, it's a big deal. Like, it's tough to go to these things and not be nominated. It's like you feel like, rah, I'm not part of the club. So this was a very important day for me because I was nominated. So I got my stamp of approval, you know what I mean? And to be with other actors and comedians, and that's what I was nominated for, was just it was like a great night. I got in trouble for wearing red by my agents the next day, because they said I won't be taken seriously as an actress if I wear red. And then next year, all the nominees were red. So I was also doing Suddenly Susan then, and this is my fifth People's Choice win. So that was, that was kind of an important moment for me. And, it was really great to have all those awards as a young person and then be an older person, not a 15-year-old anymore, or 16, 17, 18, to be in my late 20s, early 30s and still be able to get a People's Choice Award. It was such a big honor. And the wardrobe department picked this kind of like a wedding dress, which was a little weird, but but I felt like a princess. So, and I thought, well, I'm winning, so I can feel like a princess. You know what? Also, this is a different type of an award because I've never won, an Academy Award or even Golden Globe or Emmy or Tony or any of that. So, but this, my mother always would say, because I would say, oh, it means I'm not talented if I don't win those things. And she said, this is even more important because it's people that are voting and choosing you. They're not being handed a list of people to pick from and a committee picks them. And she said, you should feel even more honored. And then to have 5 of them, I've been like, to be the winner 5 times was pretty, it says a lot. And as I'm older, I really appreciate the longevity of that and the longevity that it's given me. Even though I don't have a little gold man, on my mantle, I have a different type of very resonating acceptance or, whatever it is that we actresses or we performers all want. We want to be accepted and included and valued and all those things that send us into therapy. In the fickle entertainment industry. This is before the selfie. And my mom said, she's like, wouldn't it be funny if you were to turn the camera back around on the paparazzi? And so that was me showing, what's funny is the lens isn't out. So clearly I wasn't taking a picture, but I was, looking at like, well, I'm going to be a paparazzi too. But again, this was the kind of thing that my mom did. She's like, this is a good photo op. It sort of differentiates and it's a good moment. It's a cute thing. And then, it's kind of like I would take those pictures also in the mirror, which were the original selfies. I have me and Louis Malle. Well, so that was way after I did Pretty Baby, and I graduated from university, and I wrote my thesis on him and on the film and on his themes in his movies because I was a French major. And so this was the first time I was able to really see him in public. He then later took me to a lunch at the Russian tea room, which I don't think is there anymore. And he said he wanted me to turn my thesis into a book about him. And it was too difficult to do that. But this was the first time I saw him since I was 11. And there was so much controversy around the movie, and it kind of launched me into something that was like, unexpected and kind of changed my life forever, and in a great way and in difficult ways. And, so for Ron to be able to document this after so many other more, controversial moments of when I was much younger, this was such a sweet moment for me because he was kind, he was warm, he embraced me. And because he never was like that with me when I was 11. He was very sort of standoffish when I was 11. But I wrote this thesis on him, and I think he realized I've went to a good college, and that I was not, a frivolous, crazy actress. But the Love Ball was like the best. Because look at their butts. It's just great. It was just so cool. We entered for realness. That was the one, and we won. And we had this incredible thing where I was like a chauffeur, and they brought out this like cardboard car, and then I would, with my cap, and I would open the door, and Mona Lisa would come out, or Queen Victoria, or whoever would come out. And then at the end, I had a frame around me. and then as like a character, and then they put all these other frames on top of me and hid me. And then as the chauffeur, while I was under there, I stripped and I got into this little the pink leotard was underneath it, and I had a little wig on. And then I revealed myself because no one knew that I was there. I grew up going to like loving the Love Ball and loving Paris is Burning, and my mom, we grew up in this world, the 70s and 80s in New York and that whole sort of era, and just the whole LGBTQ, community was like my family because it's where I grew up, and I was, I worked with all the artists, and my mom was friends with all the artists, and we were just so ensconced in that world. And so when then Paper Magazine asked me to do this with them, to walk the Love Ball, I was like, oh my God, yes. So it's huge. It was so much fun. And then we, of course, went to Florent after at 3 a.m. and had French fries and, all those things that don't happen anymore. But we won that year. George Burns, Carol Channing. Oh, and there's my mom in the back. Yeah, I had done a movie with George, and he was one of my favorite human beings. He was kind and a gentleman and like a grandfather, and he would never light up his cigar around me. And he called me kid, and he was just so sweet. And he sent me this letter, and he was like, if I was only 56 years younger, and he go, but don't tell your mother. I've got it framed. It's a really beautiful. And Carol Channing, I mean, she's the real deal. And that was her all the time. And, I was this young person who grew up with Bob Hope and George Burns and Carol Channing and Lucille Ball. And like, those were my heroes. And here I was able to have not access, but invited in, and I always really valued the older people that I was able to meet, sort of the vaudevillian group and the real hoofers and the real comedians, and they were all comedians that I absolutely was so enamored with and honored, and I would take care of them, and I knew what kind of ice cream they liked, and I knew what kind, Bob Hope liked mint chip, and George liked fish sticks, and so it's like, and he would just teach me stupid like hand tricks, or he would be like, okay, you go like this and then try to catch your thumb. And I was like a kid, and I would, but just dumb little things that on the set, he was so warm and lovely to me. This is such a funny picture. I didn't pick this one, but oh my God, look how funny that is. Ron took it. Look at that little kid's face, terrified. I was like, she's expressing what many people express to Ron. Mom's trying to get the baby to smile, and she's asked me to take a picture with the baby. And the baby's like, I don't know this person, and I don't know that person taking my picture. That's like, this one is from the Carousel of Hope. That's when I was really blonde. And, the Carousel of Hope is about type 1 diabetes. And my older daughter has been diagnosed with type 1. So she got diagnosed at 14. So that event has always been a very front and foremost in my life. I also think that, Ron was really one of a kind, and he set the stage. And I mean, as, focused and aggressive as he was in a certain way, I think he would be appalled by paparazzis today. I really think he would. I think that has become lowest common denominator. And there's like a frenzy and a hunger to it. And he always seemed to be like outside of that. I don't know. It was, I grew to care about him and see him. And as he got older, I would be like, oh, hey, Ron, So it was, for me, I never had a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, when I was like 16, 15, it was a little tough because I was trying to find who I was, but as I grew up, I came to really value him as the documentarian artist that he was, And I always loved his nephew. So